Evening, people. What we saying? Welcome back to the Fight for Survival show. Welcome back to Football's 12-Man podcast. We've got the third show for you today. All my timings were messed up for this week, so we've all gone on a Wednesday night for the first time. We're going to revert back to Tuesday, Wednesday next week. But we're all here to talk about the fight for survival. And to be fair, there's a couple of people that are in and around this podcast that probably don't deserve to be down here at the moment, the way that they're playing. But things could change. People could get promoted in this podcast. Isn't it mad? People can get relegated, as Dan found out last week. He was happy to go down into the fight for survival show as a Southampton fan, but he's back here today. Dan, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm decent. We've got a point on the board now. It's a good start.
Man, that's optimistic.
It's where we need to be. It's where we need to be.
Yeah, man. On the way up, you get one, then potentially you get three after that. That's you know what I mean? So fair play to you, man. We're going to come into your situation very, very soon. Mr. Dor is back. Des no longer with us for this evening. He's going to be back next week, but Mr. Dor has stepped in as an unbelievable replacement. How the devil are you, sir?
I feel great, man. And like I said, 3 points at last. Yeah, it's just good to be after 23 years. First win at City got on as well. But yeah, fantastic win for us on Sunday.
Yeah, it was, man, and I'm still sticking with my surprise package as Nottingham Forest, and I'm gonna believe it and go with it. And I thought it was brilliant at the weekend.
Believe it, Dan. Believe it.
Got to, man. Got to be done. I've said it now. I've got to stick with it now. Do you know what I mean? So it's got to be done. Someone who's smiling and so he should be straight from football training. It is Matt. How you doing, bro? And you must be very happy after a Brentford massacre at the weekend, bro.
Yeah, mate. I'm trying to, as I said to you boys before, try to downplay it a tiny bit. Don't let me get carried away with myself. But yeah, it's unbelievable scenes, really. I think I don't think anyone really saw it coming, although I did tell you boys that I called it before the game. But yeah, amazing. Can't beat that feeling. I think hopefully there's a few more of those to come this season. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, I bet you are absolutely buzzing, man. We're going to come to Manchester United and Brentford first. But before we do that, Emilio, good to see you, man. I know you were away last week, but probably a bad show for you to miss last week after Fulham was superb against Liverpool. And then obviously this week, not hugely disappointing, but obviously nowhere near in terms of the elation of last week. But how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, I couldn't go to the Liverpool game. I was watching it from the airport, trying to leave the country to go to Greece. So managed to watch the whole game, thanks to the flight being delayed by a couple hours. So the delayed flight does have its advantages anyway. But yeah, I can't complain. Two points for two very difficult games. And to be honest, I'm disappointed we haven't got more points on the board. Mitrovic missing a penalty. On another day, we should have beaten Liverpool, after going twice up. So yeah, can't complain. 2 points, two tough fixtures. Now we've got the Dizzy Heights are playing Brentford at home on Saturday after the 4-0 thumping at the weekend. So yeah, we'll hope you'll come back down to earth, Matt, and we can get a much on the board. But let's see on Saturday.
Well, that'll be fun next week when we discuss that one, that's for sure. And this is what gets good about these shows is you all start to play each other and then we start to get the banter, the heated debates and the opinions come through. But I can't really start anywhere other than Nottingham Forest, man. To be honest, I'm joking, Mr. Dor. I did love you that much, but I am going to go Brentford first. I love this story. I love this Forest hype. That's all it is. No, listen.
Keep on hype. I'm enjoying it.
No, I have got to start with you, Matt. Listen, that was unreal. I was at the Arsenal game, and I was doing some interviews with lead judges and with AFTV afterwards, and Robbie said, "Oh my God, Dan, Man United are losing 1-0." And I just thought, you know what? I went for a 1-1 today with Brentford. I actually went 1-1 was my prediction. So I fancied Brentford to get sank out of the game. Anyway, I start doing my interview. Then it goes 2. Then as I'm leaving, it goes 3. Then I get to the pub and it's gone 4. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, this is absolute carnage. If you looked at that score and didn't watch it, you'd think Manchester United were down to 9 men and they had loads of injuries and it was all gone wrong. Brentford were class, man. I can't listen. Manchester United were terrible, but I really loved the performance from Brentford. And I don't think we should take away, like what I said to Maz last week when Brighton beat them, I don't think you can take away how good Brentford were because when you give them a chance, they absolutely buried them. And I know De Gea, and we can talk about how poor they were defensively, and trust me, we will. But you guys deserve a hell of a lot of credit, man. I thought you were exceptional, Matt.
Yeah, we were. And I think the rest of you boys can probably relate as well. I think anytime you turn over a big team, people often tend to talk about how bad the big team were compared to how good the underdogs were. I mean, I say underdogs in air quotes in this instance, but we played amazing. I think all over the pitch. The first goal and the way the first goal went in just sort of United team capitulate straight away. They had nothing from there, but we played incredibly well. Josh Da Silva was amazing. Although Tony didn't score, his link-up play was fantastic. And I also have to put my hands up as well. We've got our number 8 in the middle of the park, Matthias Jensen, who for the last 2 seasons, I've not seen what Thomas Frank sees in him. And he had an absolute worldie. So much so that I had to go and buy the jersey with Jensen on the back because I lost the bet mid-game as well. So, it was class from him. The whole team were amazing. And it is nice to actually reflect on it. And I thought Match of the Day's punditry was quite good as well. That actually talked about Brentford for about 75% of it. And then the other kind of 25% was how bad United were. And just on that club is in a lot of trouble. Like looking around that pitch, they had nothing. Ericsson coming back, bit of a shame he got booed, but I can understand why the fans are, don't have much remorse for him. Bruno Fernandes, funny enough, was the only one that was actually putting in a bit of a shift, which says all you need to know about that United team. But yeah, we were just class, just outplayed them. And I think had we played City or Liverpool and been 4-0 up at half time, you'd still worry that the second half they're going to come back and score 5 or 6. We should have scored 5, 6, 7. We could have absolutely buried them. And the 4-0 wasn't, for me, particularly flattering. I think it was a pretty like reflective scoreline for how we played.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I just want to quickly come to you on the goals because for me, first one, yeah, just Da Silva, who's ex-Arsenal legend. Well, I'll just say he goes underneath De Gea, fair play. Second one, De Gea, I don't know what he's doing, absolute madness. Goes to 2-0. 3-0, you can get beat by corners and set pieces. Another one, Martinez is trying to jump with Ben Mee. It's embarrassing, but it goes 3-0. But that fourth goal for me was ridiculous. Now, I know he's just cleared the lines and he's seen Tony, but Tony there, that is so underrated. How hard that is. Not just the run and the intelligence, Matt, but that first time pass is inch perfect. And that is hard to do, man. So deserves a lot of credit for me that your forward line were exceptional.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things. Again, people will look at like a 4-0 route of United and see that Tony didn't score, but he was amazing all game. The way he held the line, led the line. That ball into Brian Mbeumo as well. Like it was just lightning quick. Brentford have done that throughout the Championship. When they were down there, just hit teams on the break, soak up a bit of pressure. But to do it at 3-0 up, and again, that was the ball out to Ivan Toney was Matthias Jensen. If you look at it at first it looks like a hoof, but if you watch the assist, he took his time in the box, shifted it, I think, to his left foot as well, his weaker foot. Found that ball down the line, and then the turnover there in 3 passes was just incredible. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was, man. And I'm a big fan of this guy. I really like him. I think Tony's exceptional. It's do well to keep hold of him, and you have done well to keep hold of him. It doesn't look like he's leaving. Let's come to Mr. Dorr on the Brentford situation. Let me ask you straight, man. Brentford this season, what do you make of them? Do you see them as a relegation battle team, or do you think they could push up the table?
Well, at the start of the season, I thought they'll struggle. I'll be honest with you. But after I watched the game as well, and the first half against Man U, they just absolutely battered them. We could say that Man U were poor, but Brentford were just class. And players like Ericsson coming back as well, thought he played good, but he didn't do no. And you just mentioned Tony as well. And people always say the second season they'll play rubbish, but you just tell, like I said, the game against Man U was just amazing. So they surprised me big time, if honest. And winning 4-0 as well. Was it the first 35 minutes, 40 minutes as well?
Yeah. I think everything was first 40 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. They're going to surprise a lot of teams. Because, like I said, I'll be honest with you, I thought they'll struggle because it wasn't... They slowly start getting players, weren't there? Like, I think, who was the player? The Danish centre midfielder?
Damsgaard.
Yeah, Forest wanted him. I remember Forest wanted him. And I thought, wow, he's going there as well. And he is a good player. And I'm a bit disappointed, if I'm honest. I know Forest brought 15 players, what it is, but I'm disappointed that we've not got him. But Brentford, I think they'll stay up now. because they've got a good team, and it's always about the spirit as well. They've got a good spirit down there, so they're going to ruffle some feathers this season as well. And I hope they do, because that win on Saturday was just amazing, and hopefully, despite not Forest, they do good results as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I really liked what they were about. And listen, I'm not going to go over the top and start saying that Brentford are going to hit top 10 and all this kind of stuff. But the reason I didn't tip them to go down was because I rate their manager. And I think the manager will get the recruitment right again. And I think that they'll keep them solid. And they'll be a tough place to beat. There's a horrible place to go at Brentford. Really is. The fans there make it difficult for you. It's a little bit of a fortress. And I do think the way that they play is a little bit more of a bully boy team. And I think they're always very, very difficult to beat. You've got physical attributes in your side, Matt. And I think when you look at what Brentford have got to show, I do think you'll have enough, man. So that's fair play. I want to get Dan and Emilio's opinion on Brentford very quickly before we do move on. Dan, we'll start with you, man. What have you made of Brentford early doors?
Yeah, it's a good start, isn't it? I think there was a lot of talk about missing Ericsson and the contribution he made in the second half of their season last year, and how strongly they finished the campaign. With that absence, make a difference. But no, I mean Saturday that was just mad, absolutely crazy. And like we said, they deserved it. They were by miles the better team. They showed what they were about. I don't think they're a relegation contender. I think talking top half is way too early for that. It's way too early to be talking top 10, but that's eventually going to be the goal. So I think, I think they're going to be fine. If we're talking relegation, it's about whether they can push up and kind of be best of the rest. I think that's going to be the next kind of level to step up to.
Yeah, fair play, man. Emilio, what's your thoughts on Brentford, bro?
Yeah, a bit like Mr. Dool. I thought the team would struggle. I thought maybe that second season syndrome scenario. I think losing Ericsson, I thought maybe they would struggle a bit. But no disrespect. I remember seeing them play at Stamford Bridge last season, and you demolished them 4-1 as well. So that was a great second half performance, if I recall right. I think it was March April time. So look, they play with strength. You're physically strong. You're quick on the break. Well organised. How many games did you lose heavily last season? Very few, to be honest. So it's I agree with them, with yourself, Dan. The manager probably doesn't get enough credit, to be honest. Maybe he's very quietly underrated, just gets on with business, able to attract good international players. And look, if you can stay again this season, it's then every year you keep reinforcing. Do what Brighton are doing. Every year you strengthen. You may end up having to sell some of your star players like Tony next season if you're doing it well. But then you'll invest and buy more players and then buy the next crop of young players. So and they've always had a good transfer system with Brentford, steady. They don't go over the top and spend millions on these big players. It's all about internal recruitment and coaching. So, to be honest, I think Man United are poor, but you can only beat the team in front of you, right? So, I think at the end of the day, all kudos to yourselves. And maybe, like you said, you'll be disappointed you didn't win more than 4-0.
Yeah, to be fair, I think Matt would probably agree with that, to be fair. Just lastly on Brentford, Matt, I want to look at your transfer window. I think Thomas Frank's recruitment's been good. I think the Ericsson signing was exceptional last season. It really lifted you. And I think a lot of people expected you to really miss him. Damsgaard looks to be coming in and taking that kind of role. And I think that will be seen as a good signing. Is there any other rumours at all or any other positions you feel you need to strengthen?
Not really. I mean, we touched on it on last week's show and saying about the 5 subs in the Prem and how teams coming up especially need to not only have a great starting 11, but have good cover in all positions. And even when we were in the Championship, we were quite a light team, or we had a good 11. And then, come January, after you've had a few FA Cup runs, Carabao, players injured, not having enough strength and depth, I'm actually, probably one of the first times ever as a Brentford fan, really happy with the strength and depth in the squad. I think, Hickey coming in was great. Damsgaard didn't actually come on Saturday as well, so still haven't seen him playing in a Brentford shirt. So to do the 4-0 without him even kicking the ball is pretty exciting as well. And I think for us as well, I think a lot of Brentford fans you'll hear it a lot from us, but Josh Da Silva coming back after 18 months out, looking like he might never kick a ball again, is like a new signing. I know it's a cliche when a player comes back from injury, but to come from the Championship and start plying your trade in the Prem and doing as well as he's done straight away, like jokes aside about the De Gea howler, he's got 2 in 2 now, Josh Da Silva. So yeah, I'm very happy. You can't complain. I think the one other thing as well, as you said, and we touched upon last week, was kind of bringing in those bigger players. And we've never really had the wage structure to do that. And I know Ben Mee is not by any means a kind of Galacticos signing, but that strength and depth at the back, like I thought we'd just come in as cover, and I reckon he might actually start quite a few games this season as well. So it's just a kind of shrewd, clever bit of business, and like kudos to Thomas Frank and the rest of the kind of the team there, because we do seem to buy particularly well, and then obviously have our own talent that comes through the kind of, or the B team now, not so much the youth team, but yeah, it's a well-run club, and I think the transfer kind of market reflects that for us as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have to say I've been quite impressed with Brentford since they've been in the Premier League, and I really didn't tip them to be going down this season. And listen, a lot can change, Matt, trust me. And it could be that next week we're talking about this a Brentford side that's very, very different. But I was really impressed with a lot that I saw, and I think this De Silva guy was really good for you in the Championship. I think it was him, Ben Rama, and one more. Was it Ollie Watkins?
Ollie Watkins,
yeah, that were fantastic for you. And then we haven't really seen much of De Silva due to injury and other reasons. And I think it'd be interesting to see what he can do this season to Silva, because he looks really highly rated, doesn't he? He looks really, really good. So let's see what he can do. Hopefully he can stay fit, mate, for the season and see what he can do, man. Yeah, fingers crossed. No, fair play to Brentford. I thought they were exceptional, and credit where credit's due. Mr. Dorr, let's come to you, man. 23 years, you finally have 3 points back in the Premier League. You must be absolutely elated, bro.
Wow, we're better than that. Let's say we was great on Sunday. After the performance at the start of the season against Newcastle, we had to improve, and that midfield was so much better that we did. We got Mangala that was signed from a German side, and we needed him because, like I said, we were sloppy against Newcastle, especially midfield, and bringing Mangala playing against Rice in midfield. I'm not saying that he bullied Rice, but when Rice has time at the ball, West Ham can do bits. And to have, like I said, we mentioned Brian, who got from Huddersfield as well. Them two players as well played fantastic. And West Ham, there wasn't poor. It wasn't poor at all. They had their chances, but I think we dealt with it good. And especially with the Man U number one keeper, Dean Henderson. He was fantastic, and even the penalty save that he did again with Rice, and another good save. I don't know who it was now. Another good save. I think he hit the bar, then he got the rebounds as well to it. Says it all, and everyone darted him because he was second behind the AR. He's gonna have a poor season, blah blah blah. But if people look at the West Ham game, it was fantastic. And Tao Awane, he was under pressure with the price tag that he had. People complained it was a poor goal, but what do strikers do? If it comes off the leg, the bum, whatever. He scored his first goal for the club, and in front of the crowd as well, the 29,000 it was just amazing to see. And that affair was just mad, absolutely crazy. And there's always been pressure on us, like I said, with the 15 players that we brought in. But it's good. It's going to be a long season, but to secure the first win as well against, like I said, a good West Ham team, I'm happy. But it's like I said, it's a long season.
Yeah, it is a long season, and I ain't gonna lie, Mr. Dodd, you did have a little bit of luck. Let's be honest. I mean, the situation with the handball. Come on, man. Listen, I love Forest, and you know I do, and I want them to stay up. But there was a bit of luck involved in that. I think West Ham hit about 4 posts and 4 crossbars. The goal was disallowed. That was the definite handball.
Oh, that was it, right, Dan. Come on, that was a clearly foul. Come on, do you think it was a foul?
Oh no, I think it was a foul. No, I do. I thought it should have been disallowed, but. Do you not think he was a bit lucky not to get sent off for the handball? Did you not think that was a bit lucky?
Not really, because Henderson was behind him. So if Henderson wasn't there, then yeah, send it off. But if Henderson's right behind him, then nah. I'm not having that.
Listen, I wanted you to win because I hate West Ham, but I thought West Ham were a little bit hard done by in certain.
There was. Areas. Dan, 100% it was. Like I said, it was him, Antonio, all the players as well, Ben Rama.
Ben Rama was quality. I thought Ben Rama was quality.
Yeah, he was quality. And like I said, West Ham, they were a good side. I think we had our luck. And Dean Henderson, again, like I mentioned again, class keeper. I don't know why Man U got rid of him. Like I said, I bet you wish Man U fans wish he was using goal now.
I was going to say.
So it is what it is. But like I said, a good start at home. Dean Henderson, again, fantastic. The man himself, Jesse Lingard, that everyone's been talking about, proved a point to the West Ham fans. And yeah, he's only played 3 games, but I think he's going to get better But like I said, 3 points, important in front of the big crowd, and like I said, it's going to be like I'm looking forward to the season. Like I said, it's been 23 years, and
Yeah, man.
it's good to be back anyway.
Yeah, man. Emilio, let me come to you. The reason I'm coming to you on this question is because you did exactly the same thing. Fulham come up and you just went mental with the money. It's like spend, 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 spend. Looks like Forest are doing the same, man. But when I spoke to Des last week, he was talking about the ambition of the owner, how Steve Cooper, who I think is amazing, by the way, how great he's been in terms of the ambition. Some of the money I'm hearing, like Forest going for Gibbs White near a £40 million bid. I'm hearing other players they're looking at. It's absolute madness, the money they're spending. Like, fair play to them. They're giving it a right go. But, you know, as someone who's from experience has done that, do you worry for Forest in the same way that it didn't quite work out for Fulham? Or do you have the confidence they can get it right?
I think obviously you've got a good manager there. I think you obviously, points for points. I think you would have been top of the table had you not had that sort of disappointing start to the season last year. But I think that whether you'll struggle or not, I think that the board will stick by Steve Cooper. Unlike our manager, our owners 4 years ago when we had a poor start when we got promoted. I still think those players that we bought on paper were good enough 4 years ago and were good enough 2 years ago. But sometimes you need to have the right coach, the right setup, the right framework, right tactics. I think now, whether we struggle or not, we will stick with our manager because the philosophy, the brand of football is a lot different than what it was 4 years ago with the players that we recruited. We did spend over 100 million and it didn't work out. But, we had 3 managers that season. So again, if Forest were to struggle, so I think your home form will probably keep you up. I actually fancy Forest staying up this year. I think playing at the City Ground is going to be a fortress for you. And I think any of these bottom 6 teams, if you can keep your home form strong and solid, that will be enough to keep you up. And that's the key. So I think we learned from our mistake 2 years ago when we were still recruited well, but we had a poor manager, Scott Parker. Didn't really take advantage of the type of players that we invested in. I still think that squad was good enough to stay up. We didn't concede many goals, but promise we didn't score any. This year, I think we've got a better balanced team. We're making some shrewd signings. We're not spending millions. We're negotiating quite hard, like we did with Leno. It took 6 weeks to finally get him, and we got him, I think, reasonably cheap, to be honest. So the owners are trying to negotiate hard, and they're learning from the mistakes, and they'll back Marco Silva. So I think we've got a better chance of staying up this year than we've had in the previous 2 seasons because we've got better tactics, better manager, better coach. We can attract a different type of player, and I think we're going to have a chance. This will be our best chance of the last 3 seasons in the Premier League. So, but Forest, like you said, you are spending money. Nico Williams, we were linked with him, but 18 million, I think, is a bit OTT. But if he keeps you up, then it's a small price to pay at the end of the day.
Yeah, he was quality as well, by the way. I thought he played superb, Williams. Absolutely brilliant. But
the number 7.
Well, compared to Fulham, I think you play a higher line. So Williams plays in more that sort of forward rather than a traditional back 4, where I think defensively he's not as strong as our current right back. So I think he suits the Forest style of football, which is why I think he'll do well for you.
Yeah, fair play, man. Matt, let's come to you on Forest. I know that we spoke a little bit last week about and touched on them and said that they were a surprise package, and you kind of agreed from what I can remember. Anything change your mind from the weekend's game?
No, I thought they played really well. I don't know if it was Nico Williams. There was someone in the Forest side that their delivery was immaculate, impeccable delivery.
It was
really, really good to watch. I thought when West Ham brought on Ben Rama, he looked incredibly dangerous, and kind of that seemed to rattle the defence a tiny bit, but just pretty accomplished. And agree with what Emilio said. Like, kind of playing at your home ground will be a fortress. And as a Brentford fan, going to somewhere that's what is it, Mr. Door? 28,000? Did you say? Kind of
29,000.
Like big old stadium, packed in week in, week out. So I think Forest do all right. I think the only thing is when you do bring in those high profile signings, there is going to be a focus and an attention on you, and that's what. Again, to reiterate with Brentford, what I quite like, we kind of fly under the radar until we had the whole Ericsson thing. I spoke to any mate about a Brentford player. I think they can name Rico Henry, and no one else knew anyone else in the squad. So sometimes it is quite good to kind of fly under the radar. And Jesse Lingard's quite high profile, and the wage structure there and stuff has been banded around as well. So you do get those eyes on you. But I think there's enough in that squad to certainly beat the drop and definitely be. I wouldn't even say a surprise package. I think on paper the team's really strong, but I can't see you going down this year.
And we had a similar thing 4 years ago when we brought in Andre Schürrle, again on loan, big player from Chelsea, maybe broke the wage structure, so to speak, as well. So that maybe created a bit of disruption. And he had a pretty awful season, to be honest. So that's the risk you bring when you bring someone like Lingard, who's can be a bit of an awkward customer. He's not obviously. I don't always see him as a team player. He can be at times quite selfish. Talented. I think his best days are over, but still, he's still got a lot to offer. But if I worry for Forest, if he starts to become a little bit too big for his own boots, I think he's bigger than the club, then you'll have problems. But if Steve Cooper can manage that and curb that and get him just to focus on his football, then you potentially got a shrewd signing there. But it'll be interesting to see how the other players adapt when they clearly know he's on a significantly higher wage than the rest of the team.
Yeah. No, fair play to you, man. Do you know what, Emilio? And I was going to touch this on Fulham, but seeing as you brought it up now, I heard you were linked with Willian yesterday.
Well, can we stay well clear, please?
Honestly, man, like 34-year-old Willian, who was an absolute nightmare for Arsenal, and to be fair, sometimes at Chelsea. Can you imagine? Like, just learn from the Schürrle stuff and just don't touch him, man.
Don't touch him with a barge pole, please. I think he'll be disruptive. He's selfish. Long gone are his good days. For Chelsea, he was a class act, but again, he had some good moments and had some awful moments. But we don't need those sort of those big name players, so to speak. Let's get players who are team players who play the way we want to play. That he's going to be a disruption to the team. So brings experience, but I want him well away from the club, nowhere near. He could stay wherever he is in Mexico or South America.
Get him in.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the club. Nowhere near the club. He'll be a disruption. And he's very selfish. Traditionally, he's a very selfish player. And that we don't play that type of football. It's all about teamwork, ethics, and he'll break the Fulham Marco Silva way of working. So please get rid of him. Someone buy him, please. Not the one anyway.
Fair play, man. I totally agree with that. Dan, just touching back on Forest, I wanted to come to you on the game itself because I was trying to have a dig at Mr. Dora and he bit on it like I knew he would. But West Ham. The only reason I brought up West Ham was because Lawless was crying earlier about it and saying how unlucky West Ham were and all this kind of stuff. So I thought I'd mention it. But what did you make of it? Because for me, sometimes Forest have to go, do you know what? Keep crying. I'll take the 3 points. Thank you. We did well. And bring the positives from it, and fair play to them because I thought that they at parts of that game they showed great mentality and great teamwork.
I think if you're a Forest fan, you can't really ask for anything more from your first home game back than that. I think West Ham should have scored. The amount of chances they had, Ben Rama was a threat throughout, obviously having a penalty saved as well. But you can't ask for anything more than that. I think I love Steve Cooper. I was saying this last season when I was kind of keeping an eye on Forest in the Championship. I think he's done massive for them, and he's going to be a top manager in the Premier League. So yeah, like I say, I think it's a top start for them. Newcastle, fair enough, difficult place to go. It was the first game, in a really difficult stadium. Scrap that, go back to City grounds against the top side. This is a West Ham side that finished 7th and 6th the last 2 seasons. They're going to be playing Europe again in the Conference League, so it shouldn't be underestimated that it's a good team to get that first Premier League win over. So no, I'd be delighted if I was a Forest fan.
100%, yeah, too right. And Mr. Dor, just before we come away from Forest, expectations from you, man. I got them from Des last week. I spoke to you a little bit in pre-season. So what are you expecting realistically now, man?
Just stay away from bottom 3. That's all it matters. I know you mentioned we've brought in 15 players. I think Des mentioned it last week, the reason why we had to get 15 players in. But just stay from bottom 3. I said mid-table. Mid-table because we've got a good side. I know we've got Jesse Lingard, but he's a top player. And the reason we brought Jesse Lingard because the position, the formation that Steve Cooper plays, that number 10 role is so important for us. And when Jesse Lingard start getting match fit, I think we can see the best of him. Emilio said, if he starts being selfish, not thinking about the team, we're going to be in trouble. But I've got confidence that Steve Cooper can get the best out of him and the other players that we brought in as well. So if we carry on the way we did against West Ham, I think we've got to play a little bit better than we did for West Ham because West Ham wasn't no mugs. They're still a good side. But we've got Everton next, and if we can do it result there, then I think I know it's early days, but I think we can get. I'll be happy with between 40th and 10th. I'd be happy with
Yeah,
that.
I bet you would.
But
Yeah, I bet you would
clear,
indeed.
Yeah, just stay clear from the bottom three.
No, man, I think that's fair. I think you will. Honestly, I do. I think you stay up, and I think you have a good season. And I like Forest. I do always have respect for them. Apart from when they play Arsenal and beat us, I get pissed off with that. But
Again.
that's what happens. Three times now, bloody 3 times. Anyway, Emilio, let's enough about that. Emilio, let's come to you, man. Fulham, really great against Liverpool. Really, really good. And you've picked up 2 points in 2, and some would say that's decent. I think you'd be disappointed that you didn't take more, but what were your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, Liverpool game, I thought, at the end of the day, Liverpool, they showed their class in the end. I think they could have ended up nicking it towards in injury time. But overall, I thought we were class against Liverpool. I thought on another day we would have got 3 points. We hurt them. The thing is, we got at them. And I was saying, get Mitrovic up to Van Dijk, hurt him, bully him, play to his strengths. That Liverpool back line is not all it's made out to be. And look, they struggled against Palace. They struggled against us. So I think Liverpool. So again, it's you have to learn. We've got the right manager there who's changing tactics depending on the opposition, and I think we're now going a bit more depth in our squad. So that's now as we might see a bit of rotation coming in. Some of the key signings who I would have thought would be regular starters haven't had a look in yet because clearly we've had 2 very good performances. And so the Liverpool game, overall it's a fair result, but I'd be disappointed that we twice up we didn't win that game. So, but it's a bonus point, right? But Wolves, I was more disappointed. I thought overall we had a couple of chances in the first half. Maybe didn't do enough quite to win it, but when you get a penalty with 10 minutes to go, and in this league, whether you deserve to win or not, you've got to take those chances. And Mitrovic has maybe not got a strong record on penalties. He's missed quite a few in his career, and I think we haven't got anyone else who can take penalties. And that's the thing. So there's always this element of nervousness. He took his penalty against Liverpool very well, but he looked nervous against Wolves. He knew that if that goes in the back of the net, that's the 3 points on the board. And going away to Wolves is not an easy place to go. And again, the maximum I would have expected was the point. We got that, but if you score a penalty and we look confident defensively, we would have taken home all 3 points, and I would have been a lot happier. So it sounds crazy to be disappointed. 2 good performances, but not happy with the 2 points on the board. Now we've got Brentford at home on Saturday, which will not be an easy game. Then we've got your boys down and week after next. Then we've got Brighton at home. So we've got 2 home games in 3. We've got to be looking to get 6 points from those. It sounds aggressive, but these are the games we need to be beating. We need to be beating the teams around us. And I know both Brentford and Brighton are going to be very difficult to beat. But overall, good start to the season. A clean sheet away to Wolves. Very, very happy about that. We're bringing in more depth. We've still got another week or so of the transfer window. So I'm confident we'll get another 2 or 3 signings. Fortunately, we picked up a couple of injuries already. So we're a bit light on the wings. Harry Wilson's got an injury. He's probably going to be out for about 6 weeks. And then Salomon, the Israeli international, picked up a meniscus tear against Liverpool when he comes to sub. So there's rumours that he'll be out for most of the season, if not all the season. So
no way.
Yeah, exactly. So not good. So we're a little bit light there, but
I was looking forward to seeing him because he was someone we were linked with last season and keeps scoring goals over at Shakhtar. And I thought, it'll be good to look at. He's out for most of the season, you say?
Apparently he's got a meniscus tear. There's a bit of speculation whether it's how big an injury it is, but if it is meniscus, that's normally 6 months out.
Wow.
So that's going to be a big blow. But let's see. I think if we can get something against Brentford at home, I think we've got to be aggressive. I think Brentford we've mentioned it earlier, they play a very physical, strong, attacking brand of football, and they tend to be very clinical. So we can keep it tight at the back and play to our strengths, and hopefully we can bully Brentford for a change and try to come away with 3 points. But win your home games. This is going to be the key this season for all the people on this call today. Win your home games, and you've got a chance to stay in this division. Those who struggle to win at home are going to be will struggle to stay in this division. So so far so good. I'm quietly confident, knowing that there's going to be more signings in the bag, and the recruitment we've done so far is pretty impressive. So far, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, fair play, man, and that is a shame about Salomon. But I think you have made some good signings. Listen, I'm going to go around to the panel after this, but Mitrovic, Emilio, there's always this chat, isn't there? Can he do it in the Premier League? He's not managed to do it too well for Fulham and Newcastle, but I thought he was outstanding against Liverpool. Obviously messed up the penalty, but that can happen. But certainly puts himself about. Do you have faith in him, mate, this season?
Yeah, absolutely. I had faith in him 2 years ago, to be honest. I just think Scott Parker didn't give him a look in. He played likes of Ivan Cavallero week in, week out. You've got an international striker who's got an international top striker for Serbia. I still think he's a good world-class striker. I'm not saying world-class, but he's a good striker. He can play for a bigger Premier League team and play to his strengths. Give him the service. He doesn't have to get involved much. But fits Liverpool, he was defending, he was attacking, he was bullying, he was winning corners. If you can get him playing like that, 80% of the time, then he'll get a good points return. He'll score double figures quite comfortably this season. But overall, that's his strength. Play to those. And last 2 years ago, Parker, if he played Mitrovic, he would have scored more goals and we might have had more chance to stay up, because the issue 2 years ago, we only scored 9 goals at home all season. When you've got your best striker on the bench, not even giving a look in, something quite not right there. And then 2 of them had to come in together on a number of occasions, and clearly Scott Parker didn't see the value in him. But he's now gone. Silva is playing to his strengths, and look, we're getting reward for that. 2 goals against Liverpool, well taken penalty and good first goal, good build up, and he will score more. So yeah, I am confident in him, but we need some backup there. That's my only concern, is we're a bit light if he picks up an injury or potentially gets a suspension. He was touch and go whether he could have got sent off on Saturday. He got a bit of argy-bargy with Gibbs White on Saturday. On another day, he might have got a red card there. So you just got to curb that aggression and that excitement, and just focus on the game and focus on the job in hand. But overall, I've got confidence that he will do well this season. I think a lot of people in their fantasy football are picking Mitrovic in their teams. Don't know what you think.
Yes, that is true. To be fair, I haven't actually gone with Mitrovic because I've gone for too many expensive strikers in my team. But I must admit, I do rate him, and I've always have. To be fair, I've always questioned why he hasn't quite managed to get the 10-15 in the Premier League that I think Fulham so desperately need. Matt, going into this game, Brentford Fulham, it's going to be interesting with you two next week on the next week's show. But do you fear Fulham going into this game from what you've seen?
A bit. I think the performance against Liverpool was fantastic. I actually think they should have come away with all 3 points. And I know we've all said it kind of last week as well, just on the fact of those big teams. It's weird in the Prem because last year when we played United at home and we lost 2-0, I think they were there for the taking and we lost. And it's weird. I know the point against Liverpool is a good point, but it is difficult when you think you should have won it, and that then alleviates the pressure when you start playing away at Brentford or away at Forest or whatever. Those games against the big boys, if you can pick them off on their day, then it just kind of takes the pressure off a tiny bit. But still a fantastic point. I also said on last week's show as well, I do think Mitrovic will turn up this year. I think he looks, he looks like he's adjusted already. I agree with the sentiment about taking the aggression out of the game, but I guess one of the famous people for that was Wayne Rooney. You take the aggression out of Wayne Rooney, you haven't got Wayne Rooney. And I think Mitrovic is a very similar player. He puts it about, and if you take that away from him, he's not going to be the same player. So I do see him scoring at least double digits this year, but I do see maybe a couple of red cards on the way. But sometimes you just have to accept it with those players. I know it's frustrating, but in terms of going into the game, I've got a feeling it could be a high scoring one. I've actually, I wouldn't put like a 3-3 out the window. I think both teams will go for it. I think we might try and hit more on the counter attack. I think we'll suck a bit of pressure up, but more than anything, excited for it. It's so hard early in the season. I don't really base anything on pre-season, and we weren't great. And our league games so far have been pretty decent. So I don't really know what to expect. I think it'd be a great game, and I do think there'll be goals in it as well. So I'll take a point off your hands right now, but we'll see how we get on.
Yeah, interesting. Dan, thoughts on Fulham this season? I know that we've spoken before, and he wasn't on this particular podcast, and we discussed relegation talk. But Southampton have been tipped by a few of my friends as in a relegation battle, and some have tipped them to go down. Do you see Fulham in that bracket this season?
I see them in the kind of 14th to 20th is whether they'll be either side of the relegation zone. I think a big part of it's going to come down to Mitrovic, whether he can bag the goals, because it's like Emilio says, it doesn't seem that they've got much depth going forwards. If he is to pick up some sort of ban or injury or whatever, it's probably going to be the former, knowing him. But yeah, I think they'll be better than the last 2 seasons they've been in the Premier League. I think they'll be more competitive because, let's be honest, 4 years ago, it felt like it was done by February, March time. And then 2 seasons ago under Scott Parker, it felt like they were kind of headed that way for a while. So it'd be interesting to see if they're competitive this year. But I think they'll have a better crack at it.
Yeah, fair play to you, man. Fair play to you. Come on, Endor. What do you think, Fulham? What you saying?
When I watched Fulham against Liverpool, I thought Fulham should have won that, if I'm honest. But they should be taking advantage. Like Wolves, I think Wolves going to be one of them teams that are going to struggle. And I thought Fulham should have took advantage of that game as well. So I know it's 2 points, they don't last, but I still think Fulham were good. And Solomini, I've got to say it because it's going to be a long season. I'm not going to say like 4 years ago or when it was they were bad, but I should be taking advantage of Wolves. If I'm honest, I know there's a way, but
So it's moments for me when you've got those opportunities, whether you deserve it or not, you've got to grab them. So yeah, I was going heading back to the airport to go back home on Saturday. I left the hotel. It was 0-0. I went, okay, 0-0, not playing the best, but you know what? We're looking cover and defence. For 20 minutes, I got to the airport, finished 0-0. I was like, okay, well, I'm happy with the draw. But then I looked through the thread. I went, so Mitrovic missed a penalty. That actually peed me off.
This one, I'm
really frustrated coming back home on the flight, thinking those are 2 points we might regret come the end of the season. Those are 2 points as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so that's my point. Like I said, with Liverpool game, like I said, I thought you won the game, and then when I saw it was 2-2, I thought okay, and then the Wolves match, like I said, you should have won, and that's gonna when it comes to like I don't know December time, you're gonna regret it because like I said, this league they won't feel sorry for no one, and like I said, when we start playing the big boys like Arsenal, Man U, and blah blah, we're gonna look back and thinking okay, we should have took advantage, but. I'm like I said, I don't be disrespectful. Like I'm a Forest fan. I just don't think if Fulham got Brentford, them 2 teams as well. I think it's going to be a good game. And if Brentford carry on with the way they get Man U, I think they'll just hammer you. And that's my personal opinion because, Dan said, if Mikovic is not playing good, then you go down. So I think you've got the strength. You've got the strength at least bring another striker to back him up because if you don't, then you're in big trouble.
Fair play, man. I like Mr. Dor did tip Fulham for the drop. I thought Fulham and Bournemouth would still struggle this season. Love to be proven wrong because I've got nothing against either clubs to be honest. And I thought they would struggle. But listen, Mitrovic is going to be the answer if he can pull it off, then of course Fulham have definitely got a chance. It's going to be interesting next week because obviously we've got 2 people on the panel against each other. I was hoping that Chris from Leeds would be here, but obviously he's not. So Dan, Southampton and Leeds, bro. What were your thoughts, mate? I watched it and there was some positives for sure. So talk me through it, man.
It was a strange one. I think if you'd said to me before the game, you know, that we'd go on to draw it, I'd be like, all right, that's probably 2 points dropped. You know, these are one of the teams we should be beating at home, especially how poor we were against Spurs on the opening weekend. But it was the manner of how we clawed it back. I was delighted with the point, you know. And the new boys stepped up, which was pleasing to see. All of them, you know, we had Armel Bella-Kotchap at centre back coming for his debut, didn't play at all against Spurs. Was magnificent. I thought he was really good, really impressive, really physical, confident as well at 20. We had Romeo Lavia. Once again, this guy's going to be a good player in the Premier League. You know, he doesn't look out of place. He's 18. You know, he's taking Oriol Romeo's place now, which is a big thing to do. You know, Romeo didn't even get on the pitch on Saturday, and then alongside Ward-Prowse, you know, he's looking good. And then we had the substitutes. You know, everyone was baffled that Joe Rebo didn't start, but he came on and scored. No one's heard of Sekumara really. You know, he had about 45 minutes in a pre-season game. Was bullied, and came on and got this that assist for Walker Peters' goal. If anyone's not seen it, I mean, splitting the defense in half. And obviously it's a good finish as well. So they've all contributed, which is good. You know, we've done a lot of business this summer. And lots of young players, and I think it's definitely raised some eyebrows. There are definitely skeptics, but I think the main thing for me, I think I spoke about this last week, is the fact that we've got a big net spend which is something we've never had before, or at least under the previous ownership. You know, this is our first summer under the owners of Sport Republic, which has actually got a former Brentford man in what's it, Rasmus Ankerson. So we've got Rasmus Ankerson involved. So he's kind of using a similar model, kind of trying to find bargains, you know, players who aren't being scouted by the bigger clubs, bring them in and then sell on for profit, alongside having younger players in there. So far they're looking good. You know, going 2-0 down, I thought, you know, it was toxic in St Mary's. You know, there were a lot of anti-Ralph chants, which at the moment is kind of a commonplace thing. But you know, he made the changes. He changed the formation, and we clawed back a point. And when it got to 2-2, I thought we'd go and win it. I thought the momentum was on our side, and we'd go and get the third. But we didn't. And yeah, now we've got Leicester on Saturday, and I think it's a case of how we start that game. If we start that game how we ended the one against Leeds, we've got a chance. We've got a real good chance to get something. You know, they're in bad shape at the moment. So yeah, it completely comes down to Ralph's tactics and his setup.
Yeah, it does, Dan. And I must admit, I knew a little bit about Aribo because obviously I saw him when he was younger. I knew nothing about this Mara, and he was the one that really shone. I thought he looked quality from what I saw. As you say, you mentioned how great it was for the goal and assist for Kyle Walker-Peters, another player who's definitely improved since he's gone there, because at Tottenham weren't really for me. Not just because he plays for Spurs, but I didn't actually think he was a top quality right back. But I think he's definitely improved since he's gone to you guys, and looks really good now. But I wanted to just ask you, Dan, on Leeds, like, what did you make of them? Do you think they're in trouble this season, or did you see that they had a? You think they are?
No, I thought they were bang average, and that's why it was so frustrating to go 2-0 down. I said to my mates at half time, you know, we were the better side. Leeds probably created the better chance that was saved by Bazunu, another new player who's started quite well. But they didn't have much bite. You know, they've got some good individuals, but again, Bamford came off injured. You know, I don't think that got a lot of talk. That's another injury to Bamford. I've got no clue in terms of how long that's going to keep him out. But you know, there's all the talk about how, you know, they struggled last year because they didn't have him. But if they've not got him again, that's going to be an issue. And they're frail defensively. You know, it'd be great to have the Leeds fan on to talk about this. I think attacking wise, they look like they're clicking. You know, Rodrigo got 2 goals. You know, they're pretty well worked. But defensively, they look so frail still. You know, Walker-Peters had a field day on the right flank, and that's when we were kind of still waiting to get out of first gear, really. So yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't think they've made much of an improvement so far. We'll obviously have to see. I like Jesse Marsh so far. I think he's a good character. Whether he can be a good football manager to take Leeds back to kind of the top 10 where they kind of started off in their first season back in the Prem, we'll have to see. But for me, I wasn't overwhelmed. You know, that I didn't feel they deserved a 2-0 lead. It was more about us being kind of negative and, you know, crumbling under pressure, especially conceding in the first minute of the second half. So, no, I'm not overly convinced by Leeds, I'll be honest.
Fair play, man. Just a question for you, Dan, from James Crow. Big up yourself, James. Says, Dan, what's your thoughts on Kyle Walker-Peters and a possible move to Chelsea? What do you think, man?
No, not this summer. Not this summer. I think we might have 1 year, maybe 2 years of Kyle left. But for me, he's been massively underrated. You know, I think I actually voted him as Saints Player of the Season last year, even though Ward-Prowse got to 10 goals. I think he's been that good, and it's just not been talked about that much outside of Southampton. He got his first England call up last year. I know that was partly to do with injuries in the fullbacks and, you know, the friendlies. But he's only getting better and better. I think he's 25 now. You know, he's at a real good age to perform. And it's his offensive improvement that I've been so impressed with. I think defensively, you know, especially kind of in his first full season, he was putting in challenges, interceptions were good, his duel numbers were good. You know, he was a good defensive player. But he started adding goals to his game now, and that's going to make him the difference. It's a shame that he's kind of got all these English right backs ahead of him when it comes to the national team, because I do think if we weren't so strong in that area, he'd definitely be knocking on the door. He impressed us last year with the fact that he played most of the season at left back and shone, you know, and and now that Tino Livramento is still out with his ACL, he's back at right back. So yeah, he's been magnificent. And I understand why teams like Chelsea are being linked to him, but I don't think this season he's off.
Fair play. We were actually with him the other week, and I thought that was a really random rumour. We do need a right back, to be fair, but I can't see him coming to Arsenal, if I'm honest, and I can't see him leaving Southampton.
I don't think he'd go, mate. I don't think he'd go. I think he's still quite
do you know
loyal to
what?
Spurs.
I don't think he would either, and I don't think he'll come and sit on the bench, because that's what he'll do. I know it sounds horrendous, but Tommy Asu, when he's fit, is better. So I don't think he'd want to do that. So why would he want to do that? You want to go and play first team football at Southampton. So likewise at Chelsea, he'll sit behind Reece James. I don't really know that that's really a great move for him, but there we go, especially for his England career. So I think he'll be staying put, to be fair. I want to ask and open the floor up. Does anyone believe Leeds are in trouble this season in terms of them going down? Mr. Dorr, go for it, man. Why do you think that?
100%. Because I'm not a fan of the Leeds manager. Not a fan at all. He lost top players in Phillips. Who else to lose to? I think he's going to Barcelona.
Rafinha.
Rafinha and Phillips, yeah.
Yes, I know they're doing well the first two games, I think. But I don't think they'll do it. And that's my personal thing. And I said at the start of the season, I think they'll struggle. Because personally, I think, Southampton were 2-0 down, but I still thought Southampton was still winning. But I'm not a fan of the manager. Like, they've not brought in Premiership experience. I don't know if they have or not. I might be wrong.
No, I don't think so.
Spent a lot of money as well. I know they've sold two big players, but they've spent a lot of money on these other players who I don't know. To be honest, I don't know much about.
I think the only signing they can be genuinely pleased about is Sinistera, the winger. He's got really good goal numbers. He's got good goal numbers in the Eredivisie. But again, is it going to be a Rafinha replacement?
I think Tyler Adams was highly rated as well, wasn't he? Tyler Adams was highly rated, but whether he's going to do it or not, I don't know.
That's the thing.
But yeah, this is the thing. I'm a little bit with Mr. Thor. I haven't gone for him to go down because I tipped Everton. I think Everton are in a right mess. I really think they're looking terrible. But Leeds ain't much better. It can't be. It has to be said.
They're not, because like I said, I think you tipped Everton to go down, but I personally, I don't think Everton will go down. I think Lampard will go in December. I personally think. But Leeds, for me personally, I just the point at Southampton. I think Southampton should have won that, if I'm honest. But I'm not a fan of it. But people might disagree or not.
Well, I don't know, Matt. What's your thoughts, man? Leeds, and we'll bring Everton into it as well, because obviously Everton can't be represented tonight.
Yeah, what I've seen in Leeds, and it's one of those things where if you don't bring in players to replace the big names that have gone, I think everyone starts looking at them as kind of relegation contenders. But Everton, from what I saw at the end of last season, and with no progression, in my opinion, are probably more likely to go down. And there's no saying it's either or; it could be both. But I mean, the likelihood is that probably two teams that have come up will go down, and one other. But I don't know. I think the only thing is with Leeds is because it's not catastrophic yet, they might just go on the way they're going till Christmas time, and then we'll see what happens then. Whereas Everton, something's going to give before Christmas. I think we're all probably agreed there that it's going to be time for a huge overhaul, and it's going to need at least 6 months to try and, I think they already know they're in a relegation battle. So whereas Leeds, I don't think do. So if I was going to pick between the two of them, I'd probably say that Everton are in more trouble, but with the caveat that they might do something about it quicker, whereas Leeds might just fancy the chances of what they've got at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I really do. Seeing as Dan's with us, does anyone worry for Southampton in a relegation battle, or do you think that from what you've seen that you've got enough? Emilio, start with you.
Yeah, go personally on the Leeds side of things. I don't know much about these new signings that they've made, but again, have Leeds lost their identity, their brand somewhat? So that I think that Mr. Dorr, I agree with him. I don't know much about this manager, but it doesn't excite me. If I was a neutral, I'm not sure what Leeds are all about this season. So, obviously we've got some Leeds fans watching us tonight, but I think they will struggle. I think their home, again, it goes back to home form. I think Ellen Road is going to be a fortress for them. So they can keep it tight there and keep picking up the points, then that might be enough just to keep them up. But Southampton, I don't know. Southampton, I feel like they're hit and miss. You know, 1 minute they can beat Arsenal or Liverpool 2 or 3-0, and then they get hammered 6-0 the next week. So again, it's consistency the issue with Southampton. And I think under this manager, I like this manager. I think all these rumours that he's lost a dressing room, I don't see how. I like his philosophy, but clearly you're very up and down, very inconsistent. You can win heavily or lose heavily the week. So I think if you keep that consistency, you'll be okay. But if you're going to be up and down like a yo-yo this season, then potentially you might be the surprise package getting sucked into that relegation. A bit like Wolves. I think Wolves might have had their time. I think Wolves could struggle again this season. I know we've not talked about them tonight. I know we should have got the 3 points on Saturday, but Wolves another team we should be worrying about. Yeah, exactly. Jane on the court. So I think the fact that Palhinha signed for us rather than Wolves, I thought that was a coup for Fulham. Then they could have gone to an experienced, more settled Premier League team. He chose to come to Fulham for big money. So hopefully we're doing something right. And I think I've got reasonable confidence that we could compete against Southampton, Leeds, Wolves, Forest. So I think it's not a foregone conclusion we're going to go down. I think there's probably about 8 to 10 teams here. We're all going to keep picking points off each other, especially at home. Win your home games and avoid those away defeats, and then you'll stay up. But I think Southampton could get sucked into this year if you don't get sorted out your consistency, Dan.
I think this is going to be the most competitive league. Sorry to interrupt, Dan. I just think this is going to be the most competitive. Dan. I think Emilio spot on that there genuinely probably are 10 teams that are going to be in and around it that you could genuinely say could end up in that bottom 3 this year.
I personally, sorry to interrupt. I don't think Southampton will be in trouble. They've got a good side. Ward-Prowse, world-class player. In that centre midfield as well. Che Adams, the only thing I'm worried about is a striker time, because I don't know if you can touch on it. Like Che Adams, he's been linking away as well. I know Forest
that was another thing I was going to talk about.
Yeah, Forest are after him. Everton's after him as well. So if you lose him, do you really think that you're bottom 3? But I personally
we can't lose. They cannot afford to sell him, there were talks of a loan, which is ludicrous, really. He played.
Who's this
played
Forest on him? Was that?
Yeah,
Forest, Everton,
Forest want everyone, bro. Forest want
everyone. Listen to me. If you talk nonsense about my club, Marinakis gets a checkbook out. We'll give you the money. We'll buy all of you. So don't talk nonsense about our club, people. That's what Marinakis is after.
We can't. There is no way. There is no way we can sell him, especially to a rival, a relegation rival. He played the full 90 minutes on Saturday. He was good. Physical, exactly what we need, exactly what we expect from Shea. So I can't see it. I mean, he might be one of those players who've complained about Ralph if he has lost the dressing room. I don't know what's going on there, but there's no way we can lose him this summer.
Can I say something about Che Adams? I don't know if no one knows. I don't know if Dan knows. We wanted Che Adams when he was at Ilkeston. I think it was for 300k. And our owner Fawaz, Bellend, he said, "No, we didn't want him for 300k because he wasn't tested." And then he went to Sheffield. I think it was Sheffield United. He went to.
Yeah, he did.
And look what he did. And look what he did. So Fawaz, idiot, and now he's gone to Southampton. And look at him. Well, few long. Now we want him.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I do worry for Southampton in terms of goal scoring. I will say that. But I do think that, and you certainly don't want to be selling him. That's for sure, because he's the one that does get you some goals. So, Ward-Prowse, Kyle Walker-Peters, Che Adams, you've got to hang on to them guys. And the guys that you have brought in have looked good, Dan, to be fair. And that's why I've not put Southampton, because Southampton are one of these sides. Ralph does this. Southampton, oh my God, Southampton are 9th. Then they go right down to 16th. Then they go back up to 9th again. They're one of those sides, aren't they? They just never really look like they're in serious trouble. They always just do enough just to stay in the league. And I think what they need to do is try to look at how they then go to that next level. And it's difficult for these sides. You've just mentioned it yourself, Dan, how difficult it is, how tight this season's going to be. I honestly believe we'll see one of the tightest title race again. I think the top 4 is going to be ridiculously close. No one can tell that. The top 6, likewise. Manchester United look a mess. West Ham still people saying top 6 fight. They ain't won a game yet. Obviously, Newcastle will come in. No one knows what's going on. We've just done the best of the rest, talking about how good Palace and Brighton are looking. like Wolves are in the conversation to be up and down, up and down. No one knows where they're going to be. And we've just said about 6 teams could go down. It's absolutely mad, the Premier League. And this is why, at 30 years old now, everyone's saying this is the best league in the world. And it is.
Amen.
That's why everybody wants to be in it. Everyone does. Listen, we're going to round it up.
Sorry, Dan. Another 2 weeks of transfers, right? So there's going to be more twists and turns. I don't think we've seen. I think there's still another 3 fixtures before then for clubs to take action. So if we all have bad performances this weekend, there's still another 10 days before the transfer window shuts. So I think there's enough there to get these sort of other teams off the hook by make some panic buys if they have to. So I think in a way I prefer the transfer window to be shut immediately. Season starts. That's when rather than all this, you start in the beginning of August. You've still got a month of opportunity to strengthen. I just think change the system. Season starts, transfer window shuts, and then it's a level playing field. Whereas all these bigger clubs who may have got more affordability again behind them, they can go and make some big panic buys and big signings, which I think goes against some of the smaller clubs. So let's see. Like I said, there's still 2 weeks left to go. So I think there will be more twists and turns and maybe some big signings going either way. Maybe Adams leaves Southampton and maybe get a better player to replace him, to be honest. I don't think Che Adams scores enough goals for me as well. That's the thing. I think he's a bit of a bit of an enigma, to be honest, as a neutral. I'm not sure he does enough for me if I was a Southampton fan. And does he think he's bigger than a club? A bit of attitude there. And I don't want those type of players at my club. So it's interesting to see what do you think he's that type of player, Dan?
What in terms of attitude?
Yeah, and arrogance. I don't know, something about it.
No, he's come from non-league. I think he's got a good background. I think he's got his head screwed on the right way. For me, if we're talking goals, we need to be adding a striker as well as Shea. We shouldn't be selling him and talking about replacing him. We need someone else as well as him.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I do worry about goals for Southampton. But having said that, I do think you'll be all right. Guys, this has been a great stream. It's great to have you all talking about your clubs and all optimistic about your clubs, which is always great to see, man. I wish I could be a bit more optimistic about Arsenal at times, but it doesn't always work that way. But at the moment, it's looking good. I can't complain at all. Make sure everybody who's watching smashes a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure you go and follow and support the content of the guys on the panel. All of their channels are in the description, all of the links to their YouTube channels, and obviously you've got their socials there on the screen. Until then, we'll see you next time. Massive thanks to my panel, by the way, tonight. Mr. Thor, I've got to say thank you so much for stepping in, bro, because obviously this wasn't about much appreciated. Always a good banter with you, mate.
Don't get him back on the show again. I told him, I pre-warned him, you don't let him on the show again. Don't let him go on the show again. It's me now. I'm taking over.
Yeah, man, that's it, man. It's been a pleasure as always, man, and we'll definitely catch up soon. There'll be some preview stuff coming up between us two, I'm sure, when we play each other, because that's always good banter, and hopefully you won't beat us this time. Dan,
can't guarantee that, but
yeah, man, of course. Dan, thank you so much, man. Big up Southampton, big up yourself, and thank you for coming on, mate.
All good.
And thanks for dropping down, mate. I mean, fair play to you. Fair play to you. You know what I mean? You come in, you're fighting.
I might be coming back up. Who knows, man?
Yeah,
we'll see
what happens. Keep playing the way you are, and you'll be coming up. Someone who might be coming up if they carry on playing the way they are is Matt. Thanks so much for coming on again, bro.
All good, mate. You got my midweek transfer request as well. So
there we go, man. There we go. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, hopefully. I won't jinx it, but yeah, Europa League or bust, I reckon.
Yeah, that's the way, bro. That's the way. And Emilio over at Cottage Talk, thanks so much for representing Fulham, mate. Much appreciated.
Thank you, guys. Been a pleasure tonight. Thank you.
Great stuff. Smash a like on your way out, people. Take care, and we will see you next week. Up the Arsenal.